Alright, we're close enough, let's get it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's that table stuff over there?
That's my stuff here.
Okay, cause I gotta get something for
That
Ben.
is for Rick mate, so he can run the wire over here for the hoop building. He knows about it, so I wanted to put it somewhere that it did not come up missing.
Yeah,
Okay,
Motion to approve the minutes.
we have a motion for the minutes, Rick.
I would second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And it's approved. How about the claims? Any questions?
I looked them over, I didn't see any questions, I didn't have any.
I guess one question that you can maybe tell me, Haley, board meeting equipment, is that for the new speakers that we got for $2,500?
yep,
Okay.
and all that wiring that you don't see in the cupboard,
Okay,
yep.
okay, that's
I had you
what
guys pay for
I
it.
thought so, and then my next question was gonna be for Myron, I'm gonna have to save that for him. He's got a 6560 bill for secondary roads engineering service for Shive and Hattery. I wonder if that's for the dirt road south of
I
town
think
here?
that was the amount they quoted us, wasn't it originally?
No, it's 15,000, or maybe 10,000. Rick, do you remember?
Well, it was supposed to be 15, but I'm just wondering if that was retainer.
Okay. I'll ask Myron when he shows up.
Attaboy. Yeah, I just took it that it was a retainer.
Okay. All right, well then I'll take a motion for the claims. Anybody want to start off?
Sure, make a motion that we approve them with your question to be answered.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
done. Now we had the 2 ARPA claims.
Yep, they're right here. One is, again, for that True North Consulting for $5,904. And the other one, was for a duplex scanner for the county attorney's office,
Yep,
which, that one we did approve at the
Our
ARPA
meeting,
meeting, so.
yeah.
And we're gonna talk more on the ARPA reports here in a little bit too, so. But yeah, if you would do a separate motion for those two, I'd appreciate it.
Okay,
whoever.
you can do that, Gary?
Go ahead if you want.
All right, make a motion that we approve those 2 claims to be paid by the ARPA funds.
Thank you.
Second,
Second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Done. I'm gonna give me the auditor's quarterly report. Can
Yep.
you do that one quick?
And the recorders. Hold on. Just thinking. Oh, they're right here. There's 2.
Ooh, you made some money.
Hot bugs, I think.
Hey Rick, I'll just give you a quick,
Yeah, I didn't get copies of them, so if you guys just want a first and seconded, that's fine with me.
yeah, I'm just telling you that, Haley's office made $6 on copy and fees. And plat book fees was $653.18. Total for the quarter is $659.
Ringing.
So,
Motion to.
okay, Gary motion approved the auditor's report.
Yeah, I'd second it then.
Okay.
That's a lot, considering she normally is about $10.
We don't
All
get
in
all
fa-
those surveyors in and out
All in
anymore.
favor?
Aye.
They do it all online mostly.
Okay. Recorders. I won't go through everything, but their total is $45,372.55.
Yeah, hers is normally quite a bit
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
obviously.
Take a look at it, Gary.
She has passport fees and all that, yeah.
Well, she does the passport stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, so that's been pretty good for her.
$7,460 this year.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
I move we approve these.
Okay. Gary made a motion to approve the
Do you want to
auditors,
second it?
or, excuse me, the recorders. I'll second it, yep.
Okay.
Call for a vote.
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye. All right, George, you're up.
All right, so I came in here today to, just request that I could post our seasonal internship positions. We'd be looking at hiring 2 positions. Those positions would be, the people operating the sprayers and the spray trucks, because we have staff on hand to, drive the spray trucks around the county. All they need to get is the spray licenses, and it would, I think it would save our department some money to not have to put other people through the CDL training. So just wanted to kind of make sure that it would be all right to go and post that. Get some stuff ready for spray season this summer. So
Do you need 2?
I think that would be ideal, because we also, in the past, we've used our seasonal to do the weed commission portion. That's what I did my first year, so we have them go around, check areas that have been weed problems in the past, and just to do other IRVM portion stuff as well, so cut trees, mow fire breaks for the fall, or help assist with planting as well.
On the part-time deal then, would they put 40 hours in a week, or?
That's what I was thinking that they would do, is 40 hours, or if we don't need them, we can tell them not to come in. Like if it's a rainy day or the wind's too high, they don't have to come in.
Okay.
What kind of wages are you gonna post with it?
It would be at the same wage as last year for our internship, $17 an hour. I do have enough in the budget to cover the $17 from May 1st to June 30th, and then I do have enough budgeted to have them work from July to about the end of August of this year, and vice versa. So I have it in the budget so that they can work that limited amount of time.
They
So are you looking more for an intern or just part-time
I was
operators
thinking
or spray?
I was thinking interns, because then we can have them assist us with other projects, not just with the spraying. Like I said, with some brush cutting during the summer if we need it, or some planting if we need it as well.
So So they'd have to get their license for the spraying part, right?
Mhm. Yeah,
But no CDL, they wouldn't be able to drive.
right, yep, and like I said, we have staff in office to drive CDL, and, I've guided the seasonals in the past to operate the sprayer, and my other workers can also guide them as well.
Now, you three got your CDL, right? All three you do?
Two of us do.
Two.
John does not, but he has his permit for the CDL, so.
Okay. But all three you got,
He just passed the test, correct?
Yep,
all three you got your chemical license to
Mhm.
spray them?
yeah.
Okay.
And if you feel like we just need the one, then that should be, I mean,
Are you caught up from years past?
for spraying. Not yet, so when we start, we're planning on getting at it here, so.
You're gonna run 2 trucks then, right?
Yep, that's the goal this year.
Well, you need at least another person, for sure.
Mhm. Yep,
No ifs, ands, and buts about it. But the problem I foresee is that you only got 2, you got chauffeur's license, right?
Mhm.
Or CDLs.
right.
How long is it gonna be till the third person gets?
That would just need to be, probably about a month or so we could put him through the class and get him his CDL. That way we have 3 people on staff.
Then as for the chemical, training, where do they get that done? I mean, you should have it done over here.
Mhm. So within the past few years, the state has actually made it easier to get your CDL, but your pesticide license. We can actually have them test inside the office, on the county computer, so we don't have to travel back and forth between Hawkeye or Kirkwood. They can just stay in the office and test
Cool,
for that, so.
cool. Well, I have no problem, at least hiring one.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta get one before you can go to 2,
Yeah,
Okay,
so, yeah.
you have to see what's out there, you know, I mean,
Right.
how many applications come in.
yeah. So, yeah, no, I just figured I'd come in and make a discuss this, so just
Okay.
wanted to double check, so.
Okay, just a reminder though, that you will have to put sometime here in the future, your weeds, obnoxious weeds
Mhm.
gotta be posted
Yep.
sometime.
Yeah, and that's what I'm gonna be working on here today,
Okay.
getting that posted in the newspaper, that way there's no surprises when
Yep.
people see us driving down the road, so.
Okay. All right, Wes,
Alright, well, thank you.
Thank you.
you guys are going to 10-hour days now, or is that right now, or?
We can, if you'd like us to. When we start spray season, that's when we would be looking at going to 10-hour days. So, yeah.
You're not doing it now?
Not yet. I personally have, because with my parents' place getting destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start spraying, we'll go to 10-hour days, all staff, so.
And then, but you'll work probably 5 days a week then?
What was that?
You'll work 5 days a week, overtime, or no?
So as a department head, I don't get overtime.
Yeah, I know you
So,
don't.
but, that'd probably be for our staff, get overtime or comp time.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I was wondering about, is that, you know, weather-wise, that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, no, that's our goal, is when spray season hits, work 10-hour days and have them accumulate comp time,
okay,
so.
all right.
All right.
Understood.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
You're on at 9:15, but you have to go.
Can you give me a short breakdown of the service?
Yeah,
Area
so what I
amendment.
did is I brought all my reporting. So, as you know, in the budget's broken down by service areas. Even though there's numerous departments under one service area, I can't go over, over
Mhm.
budget. So I start really nitpicking, so I need to do, some area adjustments, and one of them for sure would be for the hub, the access hub, which Mona and I were looking at. Originally, we put in there, we created that new Fund 6 for mental health. Well, back when we originally established the new budget, before we knew how this was gonna work, I still had all the withholdings under general sub,
Mm,
which is fun too. So I need to move those, or specifically, so that amount is 29,656, and that's in service area 9. So I'll do it it'll be by resolution, so I have my scratches. And then I know there's some court ones, Department 61, that I need to move some spending authority on, because that one looks like it's gonna be hurting. Medical examiner, as you've seen all those. So I was gonna cushion his, and then the one where we pay ECOG our yearly dues, 17,206, in Department 99, I have no idea, that was by my error, I didn't budget for that. So I need to move some out of another area, and that's in service area 6. So, right now I have service area 9, service area 1, and service area 6. So I will type up the rest of that resolution. I was looking at these last night at home, because I wanted to get all the claims in there,
mhm.
just to make sure, so. But yeah, if you wanna do that resolution, or wait, because I have, the one for Jennifer, numbered first, so. Hers is a resolution too. If you support that. So, don't act on the service area one yet, just because I haven't numbered properly.
It's because
I'm sure we do it.
they have the food pantry at the same time as the supervisors, so the deputy has to go back and forth, yes.
She brought the one out, the resolution for,
Yep, I printed it for you.
Great.
I have everything too.
Oh, you did too?
Yep.
Okay. Yep.
And there's, is it my turn? Is it
Yeah.
time? Okay. So I have all of the other required, for the CDBG funding, like the federal assurance, the signature page, the subrecipient agreement, like all the same stuff that you would have done for, the HUD watershed project. It's all just the, required information that the feds need, duplication of benefit, that kind of thing. So I have all of that too. These items don't necessarily have to be approved by either the city or the county. They can just be filled out and signed, by whomever. You can do that if you'd like to, but what I have today is the resolution supporting the project, and then the service agreement, which basically is the standard. ECOG writes the grant, we don't charge for that, and then we do the admin on the back end, and the grant pays for the administrative fees, so.
So I have a few questions, obviously.
Yes,
Since that gets dumped on my lap. So you said it would be a little different than the watershed. Can you explain that a little more?
yes, so it will be like nothing like the watershed
So I won't
grant.
have to do all that reporting?
No, there will be, well, I don't know, Shelby, how, do you plan to stretch it over a couple of years?
Probably 2.
Okay, so there'll be, and will you guys do the planning, or will you
Yeah.
do, okay, so it'll be like a procurement for trees
Yeah.
and bills for trees.
That I would be submitting.
So we're not
And
creating
a
a special
bill.
fund then? It's gonna come out of conservation's normal line items then, or that's what I'm curious, how we
Oh,
can
okay,
code the
no.
bills for things?
Well, it'll be reimbursement, so I suppose it could, to pay it, you could pay it through your department and then get reimbursed.
You'd still have to pay it by functions and stuff.
Exactly. So it will be,
But we get reimbursed the flat rate.
yes.
Okay.
We'll say how many trees you planted or
Right.
how many trees you ordered. So the way they're doing this to simplify it and not have to do a bunch of extra steps is they're saying for every tree we'll pay you $900 to plant, to purchase, plant,
And care.
care for 2 years these trees. And so when we go up for procurement, we'll procure for the trees, she'll submit and, you'll pay for it out of your department, she'll submit an invoice to be reimbursed, you'll give it to me, or you can just have her give it to me, and I'll just do the claim, get you guys the check, and that'll be it. Like
So I'll need a budget amendment.
So
with that other than
you'll
that.
just need the
Yeah,
spending authority to
yeah.
pay for it originally.
and I'll probably do our,
Well, because we're gonna end up getting more money than we spend, because we're gonna be using it for the overall project. Like, it includes tree removal,
Yeah.
the planting process and everything,
Do you
so.
think we need to create a project number for these to keep
Oh, we
track
could, yeah.
on our budgeting?
Because it's
Yeah.
gonna be a lot of money if we get it.
That's what I mean, I would think, I know, not necessarily a separate fund, but we should do a separate
We can do a
project
project,
number.
that would make sense, because our
And
tree
then you'd have
budget,
to code everything with that project
Yeah,
number,
that'd be
otherwise
easy.
we wouldn't track it.
we can do that.
yeah, it
If-
should
if that
only
works for you.
be paying for trees,
Removal,
paying for the removal.
Mhm.
We'll have to bid for that then.
and then.
And then the admin, which I'll just like invoice your department or whatever, your project number, and then we can do it like that.
Would that be easiest?
Is that,
I think we need some
Mhm.
way to decipher those bills separate
Yes.
from your normal everyday activities.
it's
I
probably,
agree, that would be nice.
right,
Kind of, because we have like that tree,
Cause you, yeah.
Relief
You pay for some of that
project.
stuff as it is, but you wanna keep this one totally
Right.
separate.
could we use an existing project? Because we have that tree relief project line item
If
that
it's
just sits
If
vacant.
it sits there and we just maybe.
Well, yeah, we can talk after the
Yeah,
meeting.
but yeah, I think
Okay.
between you and I, we need that 3-digit separate number.
Yeah, that's fine, that works.
yeah, so there's no other, we'll just say the trees were planted and, the location, and that's all that we need to do. There's not, well, assuming the, environmental review goes okay, and I think they're gonna make this exempt or categorically exempt, just because of the nature of what the project is. But as long as the environmental review goes okay, we shouldn't have anything but the actual clearing, planting, purchasing, and admin, and that'll be it. And it'll be over 2 years. The grant itself is over 4 years, because they're assuming like a 2-year care plan for,
Right.
for the trees, but that'll be on Shelby's department. Originally, I had thought maybe we could work in trees for some communities. But Belle Plaine wants to go, like, they wanna ask for a lot more than also, so I decided to just have them do theirs alone. I suppose, although if I were you, I would probably just do all of it on your parks properties, if you're able to like buy more trees than you asked for because of the, the money that's
And-
involved.
It got brought up last night at the board meeting too, that if we did accomplish everything that we wanted to and had extra to purchase, that we definitely would offer it up to the cities
Yep.
and stuff if that came available. Like, we'd be that hub through that line item.
Yeah.
Because it's still the county, as long as they're within the
Yeah,
county.
we could
so.
do like a last tree purchase with
Yeah.
whatever funds remain.
Right.
And then,
And see how we're sitting.
So then Shelby will submit those reports like I would.
Yep.
For the GACs.
Yep.
To you, and then you're gonna,
So hopefully it eliminates, it should be simple because there's only the 3 of us doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Hopefully.
And so I should also point out that for this project, this is the CDBG DR funding, it's derecho recovery money, specifically for those counties heavily impacted. And so there's 1.1 million for the tree canopy replanting program, and it's split among Marshall, Tama, and Benton counties. And there's like I said, 1.1 million in there. This application is gonna ask for 931. I doubt you're gonna get that much, but I think we should ask for that much.
931,000.
Yeah, 931,500 is what the number comes up to. And I think, I'm telling Belle Plaine the same thing, just apply for what you want and let the state sort it out, and they will. What they'll use is a combination of unmet need and low to moderate income status for where the trees are being planted. In your case, you can say that you open it to, people of
Yeah.
all, all economic backgrounds, all, really everyone, so that's
Literally
how I
everyone,
would,
yeah.
literally everyone, so that's how I can write that for her. Belle Plaine will have a good go at it because their LMI number
Yeah, it's pretty
is low, or, I mean, this is so weird. It's good for the purposes of applying for money. It is unfortunate that anyway, I always feel bad saying like the LMI number being high is good. I don't mean it that way, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so that is what I have. It is, like I said, $900 per tree. It's written in, the admin's written in. There's no cost to you guys other than, Shelby and her crew's time to possibly plant or help me procure, because I'll need, she'll have to do the specs and stuff for what trees they want, and then, yeah. And hopefully, did you tell them where we're gonna?
No,
Okay.
I don't think, we haven't had a chance to talk about it at all.
So, well, and maybe I should turn it over to you, but there's several locations where you guys plan to plant trees or replace trees, I guess.
Yes.
And it has to be from a native list. They've already got a list put out that is the native trees that they will pay to replant. I think that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then, tell them so where and how many and.
So we're looking at Wildcat, Hannon, and Rogers, all three of which we have lost trees from the derecho and everything. And we've been slowly replacing some already, which I think might help us with the grant, I'm not sure, but obviously can't miss out on this. But those are each getting 5 to 10 trees, and then the rest, because we've been waiting for this opportunity, would be at Atkins for removal of the demolished timber and replanting of the majority of that 80 acres. Which is why the amount is so high, but we haven't had funding available. This is such a big project, this is just the most perfect opportunity to actually make that happen. If it doesn't happen, the city still said that they'd lease it, that was just fine, but they said they'd lease it either way, if we get this project or if we don't, so we're sitting okay. It's just figuring out if we can get this done, so they can open it back up for cross-country and stuff. Yeah, it'd be really exciting to get that timber redone. It's just a big undertaking.
My question, Shelby, you're shooting for 900,000.
Yep.
1.1 million is the whole grant. You pretty well know you're not gonna get to 900,000, that's almost a
Right.
guarantee. 'Cause you got 2 other counties applying for this.
Yep.
Same deal, besides Belle Plaine
Right.
at this time. What happens if you only get 200,000?
Well, that's not enough to even touch Atkins, so Atkins doesn't
Right.
get done, but the other parks would.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what I told him. I said, if we get this funding, I told the mayor of Atkins, if we get this funding, this is what we are going to do with it. If we don't, it's as is. Because it's a huge, it's a $500,000 project alone now, just sitting there, so.
How big of trees you gonna plant?
A variety, so a smaller, 2-3 footers to 8 footers, because you want to have different age range. We don't want to do a monoculture, which they won't allow you to anyway, all one species. And then we, as managers, want different age trees anyway. So some of them would be pretty cheap and some would be pretty expensive, which is why they do the 900 flat rate.
Several years ago, we replaced a grove and we bought little trees and they all grew, every single one of them.
That's awesome. Yeah, that would be the hope for this project too.
But I'm scared that with the bigger trees, you're gonna have more death loss.
As long as we plant them in the later fall or the very early spring, we should be all right, which is, the area would have to be cleared first for Atkins. And the campground, I'm not nearly as worried. We have seasonals, we have staff watching them, you know, we do that pretty regularly with larger trees, but.
Yeah, it takes a lot of water for the big.
Yeah, which is why we wanna do a fall planting at Atkins for sure. And they'd have time to set.
Do you understand all that, Rick? Got any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Okay,
They're got their fingers crossed that they can get that much money.
yeah,
It ain't gonna,
You never know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't
it
know.
hasn't.
but there's quite a difference between 900,000 and a third of,
Oh, for sure. But I mean, it's a shovel-ready project, so you gotta try.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
the other counties then, do they gotta go through Easy Cog too to apply?
The Marshall and Tama will go through Region 6, the cog,
Okay.
known as Region 6
Yeah.
over
So you don't
in
know-
Marshalltown.
You don't
Um,
know what they're applying for
I
then?
don't. The only thing I do know is that last week, when I talked to the program manager at the state, at that point, when the due date was this Friday on April 14th, a week ago, he really didn't have many applications even started. So that could totally change last minute, but, and Norway dropped out. I thought I was gonna do an app for Norway to get trees, and they dropped out. They decided, I think what's happening is the timing of this, and it's kind of late. And a lot of communities have already partnered with like the electrical, like, I don't know if does REC serve you guys?
Yes.
Alliant, or,
Both.
anyway, I think they, were offering, you know, a lot of tree replanting programs, cause obviously it's good for energy conservation to have that shade. And, also Trees Forever's been really active. So I think that what I'm hearing is that they kind of have already addressed their tree issues in the communities, and so I don't know, we might look out and be able to, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you might be competing with just Bow Plain for all I know, but I mean, I do think that others will probably be in there. And there's 4.4 million available in Lynn County. I think that'll get gobbled up one way or the other, but you just never know. And in the end, if they have any more money, they'll do another round. So, you know.
So ours, that 1.1 is gonna be split possibly 4 ways, Bow Plain.
Between 3 counties.
Yeah.
So it
And
could be
Also,
split
Bow
like
Plain is
50
still
ways.
portion out of the
Yeah.
budget.
Yeah, so I don't know whether they will like think about it, okay, we're gonna spend a third in each county. I think what they're really gonna do is try and target those that are gonna benefit low to moderate income residents. Good, because that's the nature of what they do. So anything we can do for the application to talk about that
Cross country.
is what we wanna do. So, and I will do that. Yeah.
Okay, you got your resolution along with us?
I do, it's in just a basic format, do you
Here's a
care?
slide for you to
Okay.
have, and then I'll number.
I've got the
This one
resolution, the
ain't
service
right.
agreement, and all
That ain't it.
these.
So that's what service agreement I started.
Do we gotta pass anything?
Yeah, this is by resolution, so.
For her, cause that's given us that we're supporting to apply for that.
Yeah.
And
Do you
then,
need a motion on that?
Yes, I do.
All right, make a motion that we approve Benton County supporting the CDBG, derecho funding
Yep,
and act as a pass-through for the grant.
okay.
Second.
Alright, and you got a number on that one, do you?
She doesn't on hers, but hers for what she needs is fine, I have it numbered for our minutes.
You do, okay. Alright,
23, 22.
23, 22?
23, 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, calling for a vote?
Yep,
Good. Primer, aye.
Beer shank aye.
Seaman, aye.
Did you make them?
Yeah, yeah,
I would have them do.
it's
Is
separate.
Yeah, cause I didn't actually put, I just did the resolution, so maybe
Oh, well,
an
if you wanna
authorized
wait,
signature. Cause if you want to do those procurements and all that, since we used to do those all separately, you know, when we did one,
maybe we
we'll
do
name
this
them
all with that, and now we have time because the due date got pushed back.
Okay, I would rather, yeah,
Do
then we
this
have,
next
and then all
week.
those procurements and all that.
Yep.
Put all those listing out separately.
Can I just give you this pile and
Yep.
it's a printout of everything we need?
And then we can authorize signatures.
And I know that you've seen some of these forms before, but it's all
Oh,
the
yeah,
same
some
federal,
grants.
yes.
Okay,
All the
yeah.
kind of
because
hoops.
I just know those reportings, they're gonna ask for when it was approved or all that, probably.
Okay, so which reporting, so just so to make sure we're
Well, I
talking
just
on the
know like
same.
with IEDA or any of those, when they come back and wanna audit, they want to see all those specific forms and documents.
Yes, they do.
So I would prefer it
To
to
be
be a formal
s-
action on the boards.
Okay, that totally understandable. And then in terms of like the money, it's just gonna be, I mean, I think it's just gonna be that you'll know about the GACs and the reimbursement and all of that, so.
And as long as we have ARPA, we have the single federal audit right now anyway.
Okay,
Because
okay,
it's over the 700.
sure, okay, yeah,
Eventually, a few years from now, we may not have to do that federal audit.
right. Well, there's gonna keep being disasters, I'm
Which is
afraid.
good, I mean, that means we're getting grant money, but.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hope that we get at least something and you're able to do some good stuff.
So, yeah, if you don't have to come back for next
Nope,
week,
That's
you
fine.
guys okay with that? We're gonna put all these other agreements that go along with this on next week's agenda.
That's on the fence.
Sure.
I didn't do
No,
anything
I
on
don't
the
have
fence.
anything to, I didn't bring the fence today. Do you wanna talk about the fence today?
Could be under new business because, yeah, I'm confused too. Are we gonna have to pay that?
Well, do you know what WHKS means by saying it comes out of the bond?
It'd be like the original general obligation bond probably, or the original amount, the lump sum that they got would be the lump bond amount. But with us being, we're not in it anymore involved and our watershed fund has nothing.
But not that, I mean the contractor.
Oh, so it's like their
Bond.
insurance liability
Yeah,
bonds.
do you know how, I've never had to claim against a contractor bond. How does it work? Have you guys had any experience with that?
Sure, we probably did
I
maybe
mean-
the jail stuff years ago, but
I'm gonna put it back on WHKS to walk us, help us through this process, because they assured me that it was gonna come out of the bond. And that's the contractor's
Yeah,
bond.
okay.
Cause they messed up. They didn't put the fence where the plan said to put the fence. They just decided, oh, we don't want the fence there, we'll put it where we want it. Well, the DOT says, yeah, no. So,
that makes me feel better. I thought, oh boy, how are we gonna fund that out of the watershed fund?
no. You guys won't have to pay a dime. It all falls on that bond. It's just that I don't logistically know what to do to make that happen. I'm gonna rely on WHKS to do
Yeah, it's
it.
two different bonds we were talking about, yeah.
Am I using the right words?
Yeah, it's
You
called the
are,
security
but the
bond.
problem is that I foresee is the bonds are only good for a year.
When they submit
To my
it
knowledge.
for projects.
Kinda like your car insurance, your house insurance, you pay, it's only good for that year, and that comes to that due date, it's up. So that's the only thing that I foresee that's gonna be a problem.
Well,
I thought if a claim arose after, for example, on insurance,
right,
if a claim arises after the expiration date, I mean, you were insured at the time of the claim by that company. or in this case, a bonding company, and that they would cover it.
Yeah,
So the
WHKS,
insurance companies work.
right, so they seemed like very nonchalant about, well, of course, I mean, it's gonna come out of bond, like, that's how it works. And they do this kind of work all the time, so I trusted their knowledge and experience. What I need to do, I've been kind of swamped with all of this, and what I need to do is circle back around with Megan at WHKS and figure out what steps need to be taken. If I remember right, Don sent, I think there was something else he was trying to track down. But I do think there were quotes. I'll have to go back and look at that email and also ask Megan about that time frame, if that's an issue, and then have her do the steps necessary to make this happen. Because they need to do that. Because it's partly the contractor's fault, but it's also partly the the construction oversight. Why'd they let them put that fence there in the first dang place?
Cause it hasn't been moved yet, right?
Well, not that I know of, unless Louis or Fleming's did it on their own, which I kinda doubt.
I don't know, I ain't been by there for a couple weeks. I guess I could've drove by it last night, but that's close.
So,
I don't even know where to work.
it's one of the,
But
it's
I
the
know
onward
it's too
structure.
close to the 218,
Yeah.
218.
way too close.
Ah, okay, on the north side of the road, or south side of the road.
Mhm. They didn't put the fence where it was supposed to go.
That's casual.
You better check with that SKS,
Yeah.
start there and.
Yeah. Yes, I will do that, now that I've got a little breathing room on these trees and generators. You didn't want a generator, did you? Okay,
We tried.
okay. All right, well, I will get this all done up and try and get you some money, and then I'll check on that whole fence thing, but no, that is gonna come out one way or the other. If I have to make WHKS pay for it, you guys are gonna pay for it, so that's not happening.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And, I can't think of anything else, I don't think.
Alright,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. DARPA fund.
Yeah, do you want?
Okay.
This is same thing as last year, with a little bit of an update. I would give Rick his, but did not realize he'd be.
I'll probably need to talk to you some more before we submit.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Call me, email me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the Rogers and Nature Center wells, let's just start there, have been, the DNR is having us change them. They gave us an operations permit for the time being, but we have our wells and our pits and we can't have that for public water.
Rick, can you hear her good?
Well, it sounds like there's problems with the well.
Yeah. Shelby, can I
Yeah.
get closer to the speaker?
I'll.
So he's on board.
Well, he can't hear it through that unless he's watching YouTube.
Oh, okay, yeah, come on
Well,
over.
I'm watching it, but I got the video turned down.
That's
Which
fine.
makes-
No,
Excuse
no,
me, the audio turned down.
That's fine.
That makes
That's
sense.
fine.
It'll be delayed.
She moved a little over closer here.
How's that?
Sure.
Is this better?
Can you hear Shelby now?
Yep,
Okay.
yep,
Okay,
yep, I got it.
So
continue.
the wells at the Nature Center and at Rogers, we are having them tested, which they haven't been since 2007. And the Rogers wells, the campground well and the shop well are both in pits, and we can't have them in pits for public water, as a public water source. So we need to have them reconfigured a little bit, and we're running into the other issue that our recent Rogers well test needs to be retested because it came back unsafe at the moment. That could be a fluke, things do, sometimes it's just a bad test, but so in order to look at all of our options, we have to potentially, if our campground well, the one that we just sent in testing for, it tests good, then that needs to be sent, we're gonna use that to feed the Rogers, the Rogers shop, if we can get it bored. I'm so sorry, this is very difficult to explain. There's a lot of options and there's nothing set in stone right now is the problem. So what we're looking at is we need an engineer, because it's a public water source, an engineer has to sign off on any well or water main lines. Even if we were to run a straight line out of a well and we did it in-house, you technically have to have an engineer sign off on it. So I'm working on getting estimates for that, have been working on it, but reaching out to other directors who are kind of going through a similar scenario. They said to expect anywhere from 2,000 to 8,000 for the engineering. I know that's a big range, but so I'm just requesting, looking at, we kind of talked about it at the ARPA meeting, that I was gonna have some well issues, but regardless, we gotta get the wells out of the pits, as long as they're good, and then we have to have that engineered. So looking for, at minimum, getting going on that once I hear numbers, utilizing ARPA. So yeah, there's the first thing.
To catch these two guys up, they really don't know the area or what's going on.
Okay.
There's 3 wells out there, Rick,
Right,
3 different wells. The well that's with the nature center itself is the newest one. That is, technically it's fine, it tests okay.
Yep,
The
it
water's
tests
okay
okay.
to drink and everything.
And the well is okay.
Yeah,
The well's passed inspection.
right, the pressure tanks and all that are in the basement at Rogers, at
Nature Center.
this nature center. The only thing with that, it's got sulfur and iron in it. The water is terrible to look at, but that's beside the point. That tests fine. It's the one that they did test already is at the shop. That test did not fit for human consumption as of right now. And they're gonna test the well that's on the north side of the lake at the shower house.
It got
They
sent
just-
out today.
Okay, they just sent it out today. So, but both of them wells have pits and the pressure tanks are in the pits. And according to the DNR right now, you cannot have the pressure tank and the well with a pit. So in other words, they gotta put a sleeve in it to get it above ground, fill the pit in and find some place to put the pressure tank. But that's down the road, but I guess what they're actually looking for, you gotta wait till you get the water so it's good enough to drink,
Yes.
correct? And then we can get the engineer in here about moving the pressure tanks and then filling in the well pits with a sleeve coming up above the ground.
And then getting the good water to
Yeah,
Rogers.
so basically you're kinda ahead of it, trying to get ahead of it
Yeah.
with the engineers, but you don't wanna get the engineer involved until you get the water okayed from the DNR, that human consumption, right?
Right. I'm just trying to get, because I know eventually, once it happens, we're just gonna have to like boogie on it depending on what the DNR says, because otherwise they'll shut us down. They'll shut Rogers down.
So do you wanna give her permission through the ARPA fund for the engineering if they get the water okayed?
We should know by the end of the
well,
week.
it's $2,000 to $8,000
Yeah,
is the estimate, and that doesn't include any of the work in the pits,
No.
obviously.
no?
It doesn't.
And we don't know if they're gonna have to do something different for wells even.
I know.
Right.
It's
So-
frustrating.
It almost seems crazy to do that until we know if we get good water, doesn't it?
I mean, I could just like regularly come to the meetings for updates because ARPA committee already knows that it's coming and that we have no idea on cost and what this is gonna be. But they said, you obviously need water, so.
Well, yeah, yeah. And from the nature center to the shower house, that's too far to pump it.
Yeah, and then we'd have to cross, gas lines, wetlands,
Uh-huh.
it'd be a lot of boring.
Yeah, it's not feasible
No.
to make that work.
No,
As far as the shop area, I mean, you could always, have drinking water, a dispenser, like we've got at the courthouse or in the service center.
well, the problem is we have showers, and so I guess showers and sinks, we'd have to close our public restrooms on that side.
Okay. All right, I get it.
I've never heard of a deep well not having potable water. There's gotta be a,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't bring them, but I have all the samples and, like Heffley Doolin, Mini Estima, all of those failed. That's why they closed down. And those were all deep wells. For human, because we have to, since we're a public water source, it's not like you can tell people, you can't be like, here's this hydrant and shower, don't swallow anything. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, if we're allowing public to have access to water, it has to be consumable.
Sure, yeah, that makes sense. I don't have a problem doing the authorization for engineering. Even 8,000 is not that big a deal, but be nice to know if that water is, if it can be drank.
Right, right,
So the engineering is only if it's good water.
right. Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
otherwise
don't think
we're,
it hurts to have you come in, on a regular basis.
right, and because otherwise we'll be engineering a whole new well. Or we'll be
Right,
engineering
right.
something else completely, like this could go 10 different ways, so unfortunately.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. Yeah, and we don't know how much that blank check's gonna be for with the well,
No, sure don't.
yeah, so. Yeah, I don't see a problem with you coming in on a regular basis.
Okay,
And knowing that, if we gotta take the engineering out of that ARPA funds, it's all well and good.
right. Yeah, and the next step will be the actual water. One thing at a time.
Okay, all right. So do you need a motion at this time to authorize engineering,
I
or
don't think so.
again, it makes sense to me to find out if it's
Right,
drinkable water.
I'll just plan on coming either next week.
Tuesday. You should
Yeah.
have the results
Sure.
back by then, right?
I should have the results by the end of the week.
Okay.
I
Okay.
should, but they mail them to us, so it depends on mail. I don't know if I'll have it for sure by Tuesday, but,
You can be on the agenda either at the first thing, 5 minutes, or
Right.
towards the end of it. You and Haley work that out.
Yep,
And then
that's
if
fine.
they don't come, you
That's
just give
true.
Haley a call and says, hey, they didn't come, I
Sure.
am not coming. So how's that?
That works.
Okay.
You guys will
Okay.
get to see a lot of me in the next couple of weeks. I know Myron's up, but the only other thing was requesting ARPA funding again for the Wildcat Shower House.
Yep, we discussed that at our committee meeting, so that's what we kind of agreed to bring these forward to the board so that people could move forward if they're getting approval or not, so.
Right. Well, I think we're gonna have to if we have to have new wells, we have to have new wells. I mean,
But the
But
water
this-
at the Wildcat Shower House is
This
different.
is totally different.
Yeah, this is a different one,
Yeah.
This is
sorry.
totally different now. This is the shower house at Wildcat up there.
you
Urbana,
switched,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yep,
sorry.
okay.
I was trying to move along because I know Myron's here, so it's,
So it
Okay,
sorry,
the
Myron.
total project of that shower house was $227,551. And-
yeah, it came up before.
Yep,
Yeah.
and we tabled it then, we kind of put the screws to it, and she's asking permission now to move forward on it with the ARPA funds.
Which
Sure.
we have a few others, but while Shelby's here, that way then she can, if she has
Yeah.
other work to get going,
Alright.
we can discuss more further
Was
on.
it the committee's recommendation to go ahead and move forward with it?
Yes,
Yes, especially with
Okay.
them possibly purchasing that additional ground out there by Wildcat, they should at least have a shower house to offer those
Yep.
people.
Yep. Makes sense, all right. Well, I'll make the motion that we go ahead and approve those funds coming out of the ARPA funds.
For the Wildcat shower house.
yep.
That is correct.
Gary,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright, we can discuss the other little ones later.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, thank you, Myron.
Nope.
Yeah.
Anything else for me before I take off and Myron has the floor?
Nope.
Do you have traffic counters?
I have one and it's not working correctly at the moment.
Okay.
so
Do you know where I can get them?
I will research that.
Okay. Trying to get those baseline numbers for park usage before we open our gates, it's just, so.
I was in there last night.
Were you? Oh, it was gorgeous, and all the frogs.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much. I will be in touch.
Thank you. I've had some people bugging me about this dust control.
Did you get the stuff I emailed yesterday, Rick?
I did.
Okay.
That was your 5-year plan, wasn't it?
The 5-year plan I emailed to you Thursday, but I did email just a couple sheets last night. I didn't know if you've seen that or not.
Ooh. No, I didn't. Let me get into them real quick.
Okay.
Sorry.
While you're looking, I know we can get started on the dust control. First item, if Benton County is gonna continue applying MC70 and offering it as a dust control product, I got a quote for the liquid MC70 that we put down. It's 15 cents a gallon more than it was a year ago. The chips that we put down on top of that had 2 price increases between last year. The Corey's had a price increase July 1st and they had another price increase January 1st. So that is up, I think $1.20 from a year ago.
Wow.
But those are the oil is the biggest item that's in the dust control application. The chips play a part of it. The sheet that I just gave to Gary and Tracy and that I had emailed you last night, Rick, shows the breakdown in the material costs, equipment costs, labor cost. Secondary roads employees got a 10% increase in wages from last year. Although I think we keep getting more efficient each time we do that, trying to get the most done in a day's time, as much as we can put down. I came up that on a fairly efficient day, so we always have a day that doesn't go great and a day that goes super well. Right about $1,500 is what I feel it costs the county to put down MC70 on a 400-foot stretch for those individuals that sometimes want to ask to purchase additional footage more than 400 feet in their place or go together with neighbors to do it longer. A big share of the cost is just getting the equipment and the people there. $2.50 per foot would be what it would cost to do additional footage while on site. So, like we've done in the years past, I wouldn't mind a motion by the supervisors to make that price, set that price at $1,500 for the first 400 feet and $2.50 per foot for each additional foot. The permit application that you've also been presented with talks about minimum 50-foot increments that we do with that, and they can start signing up between now and May 5th.
So moved.
So, Myron, I got a question. The 400 foot, but if you wanted additional footage, it's $250 per foot with a minimum of additional 50 feet, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so it'd go from like 400 to 450, 500, et cetera. You couldn't have a 475.
Correct.
Okay, yeah. I'll second that, Gary.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I want 401.
I have had people measure it down to the even foot, and it just, you can't shut that spray bar off closer to about 10 feet. And rather than even do it at 25 feet, it's easier to work at 50-foot increments.
What about, what was it last year, 1,200?
1450,
Oh, okay.
and 235, and 235 per foot for additional.
Okay. Do you send that, your estimation list when they sign up?
Well, no, I think we put it on our counter. I presented it, I guess, and it could be, I guess, say, I just like to show people that, I mean, here's what our true costs are, and it isn't colored water that goes down, it's just a matter of running around and doing that. There's a cost to the items, and there's a cost with equipment to prepping it and putting it down.
I was just thinking it'd be smarter to have a couple of them printed off, and if somebody wants to grab one, to take along after they write a check.
Mm-hmm.
What was additional footage last year?
235. But with the increase in material costs, it works out to $2.50 this year.
Which isn't bad considering inflation.
No, and as I said early on, I think we tend to get a little more efficient each year. Like I say, there's always been a few people that have been involved with it for multiple years. Last year, I think we had a couple people, new hires, that this was the first time they were doing it. Took some anticipation in that last year, but I know the individual running the distributor is usually leading things, and his interest is trying to get as much down in a day safely and efficiently as possible. That most of the time, what sets the number of strips that we get done in the day is how quickly we can haul the chips from the quarry to each given site. We try to run 3 trucks, and there's usually, as you get farther away from the quarry, a little bit of time where you're sitting and waiting, so you've got trucks available to put the material down. Second item on the agenda is to go over the 5-year construction plan. That's what the maps are that I forwarded to you, Rick.
Yep.
Last year, I think I had done one additional map that said the current calendar year construction program. I didn't put one of those together this year because half of that work's already done in the calendar years, not but the 1st of April. The box culvert that's replacing the bridge down south of Highway 30 in front of Pete's Addition entrance. All the concrete box culvert was completed last week, and the dirt contractor's on site today starting to backfill around it. So he's going to take advantage of this great weather this week. The concrete was tested yesterday morning, and it's all above acceptable for doing work around it. And then there's a bridge going on between Benton and Mount Auburn, just off that blacktop to the east, that will probably have its deck poured either late this month or early in May. But to follow a similar pattern I've done in years past, I've highlighted bridge replacement locations with a red circle on the map. A number of these bridges for fiscal year '24 are in the design phase right now. I know that also this week, a boring rig is collecting subsurface exploration information for designing substructures on 4 of the sites this week. Fifth one was supposed to be going on this week, and there was a scheduling issue and whether or not it happens yet this week or next week. But I guess I'll start north to south. There's a bridge on 16th Avenue just west of Mount Auburn there, just north of the hard surface. That replacement's gonna be a slab 3-span bridge. Just northeast of Benton, bridge on, 27th Avenue Drive, I believe, just north of the high road, being replaced with a slab. Southeast of Benton on 63rd Street, bridge I'm working on a design that would be between the intersection and Jim Fix's residence, I believe it is. It's a dirt road north of Fix's, and it's right from their house to the intersection, but there's a bridge in between it. So we're gonna need to make sure that Fix's have access to their residence and farm operation while that bridge is being constructed. So it's gonna take a little bit more planning than just a standard close the road and go to work. Just because it's really close, I'm gonna go just south of there on 69th Street, I believe that is, a bridge we have talked about a few years about getting replaced there. The substructure, wood piling, is what's driving the condition of that bridge.
That was made in '78, if I remember right.
My records show in the late 40s or early 50s, so.
Really?
Yeah. And I know you mentioned that once before, Tracy, but I know that the bridge inspection forms talk about, like I said, late 40s or early 50s, I can't remember right off the top of my head. After staring at all these bridges the last 4 days, I forget the age of each one of them. Just northwest of Benton on 63rd Street, about 3 miles west of 218. Replacing that bridge with a slab. Immediately south of that, 1.5 miles, another bridge to be replaced with a slab. And then a little bit to the northwest, Kaiser's farm in between those 2 bridges that both have embargoes on them. Those 2 are in the design mode. Right now it looks like a twin 8x8 box culvert will work on the north one and a slab bridge will work on the south one. Looking to, and the south bridge is one of the ones that was supposed to have some drilling done for the soil investigation to replace. Should have the plans put together here by early fall or sooner. More likely to be projects next year than this year, just with trying to get all of the outside organizations' approvals with federal funding required. On the map that Tracy and Gary have marked, but I realize I forgot to put it on your map, Rick, but south of Walford on the Lynn-Benton line, there's a bridge that's located just quarter-mile north of the Four Corners there. When we resurfaced that road, I don't know, what's it been, 5, 6 years ago? I just went ahead and ran the asphalt over top of the deck. I know the deck had some delamination is the term, but the concrete was starting to separate from the top mat of steel that was in that deck. Lynn County takes care of the inspection for that county line from Highway 30 south on bridges. Their recommendation is that we mill off that asphalt, mill off that top 1.5 inches of concrete and put an overlay on it. They'd like to take the lead on putting a project together for doing that. And they could do it anywhere between 23 and 25. So I just threw it in here for the fiscal year 25 or 24 year. They've done some recent projects like that. They could put it together in-house themselves, estimating about $150,000 for the project, and we'd split the cost between the two of us. That I think covers the bridges that I had listed on fiscal year 24. I have highlighted purchasing right away, which I think would just be 17 additional feet between Blairstown and Highway 30. I think there's still a little bit of questions asked about that Pioneer Cemetery that exists on that road. That's been confirmed that there are graves there. I'm working around that, but that would be a small area to affect the project. And then getting started on moving some of that dirt to widen the shoulders, and any crossroad culverts that are in fair to poor condition would all be replaced at the same time. As for resurfacing roads, we've got a number that are needing it in the near future, trying to group them things together as well as looking at conditions. I know from Shellsburg north to the Cedar River Bridge is in need of resurfacing. From Benton out to the Oak Grove Church on what we call the County Home Road, and then putting new pavement from the County Home Road east and north over to the Lynn County line. That box culvert would have a second winter on it this next winter type of deal, that 85% of its settlement should have happened by then or more. Also, the asphalt existing north of Newhall, between Newhall and the Shellsburg concrete, is in need of replacement. I propose to loop all 4 of those segments together and maybe get a little bit better unit price from an asphalt contractor. Any questions on fiscal year 24?
North of Newhall there, between where your blue line starts, the 2 box culverts replaced this year?
No. I've delayed that a little bit. It's on fiscal year 25's plan.
Okay. Got it.
When do you anticipate regrading north of Blairstown?
Moving targets, it'd have been probably great from a past sense to already have it done with some of the Highway 30 work, but a few of these asphalt resurfacing and even doing some rough design with the grading could be done in-house with, additional staff. I don't know if that's how likely that's going to happen this year or not. I'm hopeful. I may or may not have some positive information on that in the next few weeks or not. But I would, regardless if that happens or not, I'm going to start sitting down and probably discussing with some consultants on putting some design together to keep things moving forward. Because even though there's a lot of things we could address in-house, I can't do it myself, and it's a couple of these things have been 2 years or more that have been talked about in-house, and we haven't been able to do anything with staffing. That we can't continue to just talk about it and wait for internal staffing. I'm going to have to look at some outside consultant help so we can keep things moving. And so, to answer your question, Gary, you know, it would, to some degree, it might have been nice to do it this spring. Some of this, depending on what the fall work might be able to do something later this fall, or next spring. I just know that getting all of the right-of-way acquisition together and doing the work, it's gonna consume a little bit more work than I think we could legally do from a cost standpoint. You know, the county has equipment that could do that like we did between Van Horn and 30. But with that being about a half mile more, and the cost of doing work has gone up considerably from where it was 15, 20 years ago, I think we'd exceed our day labor allowance on doing that in-house.
There's a bunch of culverts on that road that are,
Yes, and outside of the box culverts, it's right there at your intersection by the substation. I think it's the box culvert. The other box culverts are of smaller size that can be done with concrete pipe, and some of that type of work, when you're talking timing wise, could be, I don't know, 24 to 48 hour turnaround times. Granted, you're backfilling it with rock and things like that, where you might have a small gap where you're driving on rock instead of pavement, but from a total closure of the road, I could see some of those areas being done very, very quickly.
that one that's by that substation, it's pretty narrow. There's only like maybe this much room between the edge of the road and dropping off. You don't see it in a car, but you see it in a truck.
But all of those would be sized so that there's adequate turning area, and room for flatter slopes, with the forest slopes to improve the safety.
There's quite a bit of work there. Thank you.
Since you asked the question, Tracy, moving over to fiscal year '25, I've delayed those box culverts north of Newhall to fiscal year '25. Haven't gotten all of the survey information collected yet for designing those two, as well as deciding how that intersection wants to be addressed moving forward, needs to be decided too. But I thought all of that would tie in well with resurfacing in that area. Sticking with bridges, going through the list, northwest of Urbana on 52nd Street, replacing a bridge. Just west of there, the Cedar River Bridge is going to be in need of an overlay in the near future. I'm hoping that before the federal bill runs out, transportation bill runs out, that we might secure a federal grant to do that overlay project versus using our bridge replacement money that it comes back to Benton County for bridges. Just immediately west of Mount Auburn, we do have a box culvert design all ready to go to replace that bridge under the pavement. Have been unsuccessful on purchasing the right-of-way on the south side of that project, and may need to discuss that project more on how we want to proceed with that moving forward. Then just southwest of there on 16th Avenue, a bridge to replace in, what would that be, Cedar Township. Moving southeast of Benton, there's a box culvert to replace right near the T intersection there of 62nd Street and 28th Avenue Drive, I believe it is. We just talked about the two box culverts north of Newhall. Due south of Atkins, two bridges on 32nd Avenue Drive. North one's a very small bridge. The south one would most likely be a slab. Going west of Blairstown, there's a bridge on 17th Avenue just by the UP Railroad. That its deck doesn't look all that bad, but it's timber piling that are showing their age. Another one of those bridges built in the late 40s, early 50s. And then the bridge that the DOT graciously donated to Benton County off 131 there outside of Belle Plaine is starting to show some signs of some deck concrete delaminating where the rebar is, and would be a good candidate for an overlay. Hopefully could tie that in with Cedar River Bridge and do two projects with a better unit price. Pavement resurfacing, looking at potentially for fiscal year 25 would be north and west out of Newhall, north of Blairstown, south of Blairstown, and at least from the landfill to Hannon Lake, and probably touch up a little bit between north of the landfill back to the south of Blairstown Road, north of Benton, High Road, and the Buchanan County Line Road. Any questions on fiscal year 25?
They put a new dairy in right, well, it's miles south of Blairstown. And have you considered going, if we're down there repaving anyway, going a mile? Well, they moved their dairy feed operation on the gravel south of the east edge, east of Blairstown. That would be, I can't even read these little numbers.
22nd Avenue is where you're talking,
It'd be a mile.
mile east of the pavement.
Yeah.
And then a half mile south is where they've
Yeah.
put up their primary driveway going into the silage pit on the east side, and then they're gonna be doing some more infrastructure building on the west side.
Yeah. I'd like to see that paved if we're down there anyway, if we could. I don't know. I'm getting a lot of complaints from the people that live south of the dairy and east. They're taking that road on a regular basis, and it's coming apart sometimes.
Well, the county built a road base to support a seal coat many years ago, initially from that pavement east to what was started as an ethanol plant and operated as an ethanol plant for a while. Then when that dairy operation was being developed, the county extended that seal coat to the intersection. We actually went around the corner about 500 feet, but for whatever reason, from the intersection south, that 500 feet didn't hold up well, nor the intersection, and hadn't done anything more there since. But I do know with the dairy's truck activity, that half mile of rock is going to require a lot more maintenance moving forward, and will need to be evaluated and considered for probably some type of treatment or other other approach versus just rock.
That road that's going from where you're gonna resurface east past the alcohol plant and the dairy, that's set up really well. It's a great road. There isn't hardly any potholes in there or anything. It's just, I don't know what we did different there. That's been 20 years ago. That's been done.
Over that, longer than that, that base was, the west 2/3 of it was
Yeah.
put down, and it's been seal coated 3-4 times of different, I've hired a contractor to do a special type of surface on it once, but otherwise we've just seal coated it occasionally.
And it just keeps working, It's doing better than the blacktop roads, really, in some areas. Well,
It is far enough out that if we were to consider to tie something together with asphalt in 25, we still have next year to add it to that too. It would be probably a locally funded portion of it, whereas, and certainly the Hannon Park Road would be locally funded. Otherwise, everything that I've proposed with pavement resurfacing would be paid for through the county's farm market funds and not directly through the county budget. Moving forward to fiscal year 26, bridges, and just a side note, what I call in bridges sometimes are box culverts too. The federal government, from a definition standpoint, any structure that spans more than 20 feet, measuring from the road length, if you were to, for example, throw, I don't know, let's use small pipes, but if you were to say put a series of 6 pipes under a road addressing one drainage area, and if the distance from the south pipe to the north pipe on a north-south road exceeded 20 feet, the feds would look at that as a structure that needs to be inspected every 2 years. It would be on their definition of a bridge. And so a lot of our twin box culverts, 2-celled or 3-celled box culverts, if they measure from the wall to the wall along the road as being greater than 20 feet, I throw that in that same category as a bridge because it requires that inspection and it's eligible for using that bridge replacement funding. The first bridge I was going to start with on my map is a box culvert that's on the Benton to Mount Auburn blacktop. It's right out there where Wayne Sila has bought that farm, has cattle set up and stores his hay bales, but that box culvert under the bridge is similar to one down at Newhall. It's a narrow box that's in the center, and then it was widened out in the 50s when they paved that, and so it's the center of the box culvert that's going bad first. It doesn't look as bad when you're just driving it, or if you were to walk down along the ditch and look at the wing walls, you see newer concrete. What you don't see is the concrete that's 20, 30, 40 years older in the very center of it. A potential bridge overlay that's right out by the quarry on the high road northeast of Benton, and then farther to the northwest on 54th Street, bridge replacement in Cedar Township. Straight west of Benton on 62nd Street, just about 4 miles in from Highway 21, a bridge replacement, and then southeast of Benton on 63rd Street, about 2.5 miles east of 218, replacing a bridge. I'm going to jump down to 3 bridges in the southern part of the county. One bridge is just straight south of Adkins, a 1/4 mile south of Highway 30, and then on the Lynn-Benton Road over Prairie Creek, another bridge that the cost would be shared between Lynn and Benton County, and then a box culvert that's just southeast of Blairstown, about a mile east of the intersection Gary was talking about with the dairy operation. The Pony Trust Bridge is that have got a triangle highlighted west of Shellsburg on the old state road. What I'd like to pursue, as that bridge needs to be, versus replacing it, is maybe just removing that bridge, making that a little stub road, and maybe building a road base between the pavement in the intersection that just northwest of that, and have it tie in directly with 29th Avenue. And my thoughts are grading a quarter mile and making a roadway would be cheaper than replacing the replacement cost of that bridge. Future improvements to roads, south of Atkins on the west side, buying right of way, widening those shoulders on that 2-mile stretch, almost 1.75 miles now, with Atkins annexing all the way out to the intersection and developing that going south a little bit. And then old 131 there, outside of Belle Plaine, potentially buying right of way, widening the shoulders and resurfacing that as that road continues to get worked over with the detour traffic right now with 21 and Highway 30 going on. It may become a little bit bigger project than just utilizing what's there and widening the road. It may be worth considering totally reworking that road and reshaping things. And then resurfacing from Benton going west to Garrison over to the Keystone Corner. And that I'd like to pursue using STP regional funds to resurface that 10-mile stretch roughly versus using farm market route funds. Any questions on fiscal year 26? Moving to fiscal year 27, bridge dots get a little bit smaller. Not that our bridge concerns aren't there, but depending on how the funding sources all exist, and what we find if something is more critical as we get 4 or 5 years out. But I have a bridge west of Mount Auburn on 52nd Street. And then working west to east, 11th Avenue there between 61st and 65th Street in Homer Township, and then another bridge there on 12th Avenue, just about 1.5 miles southeast of that one. A box culvert but on the pavement between Garrison and Van Horn, another box culvert similar to 2 other ones we've talked about earlier, where the center is worse than the extension that was done when the road was paved. And then northwest of Newhall on 25th Avenue, a bridge replacement, and then south of Newhall, another pony truss that still isn't functioning too bad, but it's got some age that's right next to, just forgot his name, but Roy Becker Jr. And then resurfacing east and west out of Blairstown. Any questions on fiscal year 27?
What are you gonna do with that bridge at Roy John, that steel one?
I'm not sure. If I know that they use that going back and forth, because own both residents east and west on the north side of that road. I think own some of the ground in between. I don't know if it could work as a low water crossing. It would not work well for their operation, but it might be something to evaluate. And as hopefully slab bridges, unfortunately with cost of concrete, it costs more, as we move forward in time. But they're also built very sturdy and concrete today versus concrete 50 years ago. I think these slab bridges that we're putting in right now are gonna be you know, 100+ year life cycle without any problems for the public user. But kind of evaluating different options, what I would do at near Roy John's place. But I know that, like many of the Pony Trust box culvert substructures, they're approaching 100 years old in age and needing to be addressed. And that bridge and the one west of Shellsburg are the only two pony trusts Benton County have remaining.
Then the one northwest of Newhall there, mile east of 218, that's a box culvert, right?
I believe so. And would be replaced with a box culvert. It's just that the box culvert is a twin cell. It's probably 10-foot wide each barrel, I think. But would qualify for bridge replacement funds, and so outside of administering the project, we're getting reimbursed for 100% of the cost of the construction.
Okay.
Are you putting any more low water crossings in, like west of where I live there?
We haven't for the last 8-10 years.
Like to go to a low water crossing where you drive through the water, to put those, I call them low water crossing bridges in. That's something you might think about on places where you're thinking about putting in a low water crossing. Keep the tractors or whatever up out of the creek.
Depends on the size of the creek and the width of the stream as to whether those can work. And the one we were just talking about south of Newhall, where Roy John lives, might be capable of either one. But my initial thought is neither one would work, but it might.
Well, it's nice to stay out of the water as much as you can. If you get up high enough to just have a low water crossing, it works 90% of the time, maybe more than that, 95% of the time.
Moving on to fiscal year '28, bridge overlays, the circles with the circle around it, the bridge south of Urbana over the Cedar River, as well as a bridge just outside of Keystone. If we're successful on getting federal transportation money to do the other river bridge, the whole application may go in with all of these overlays and doing them in multiple years. And I'm hoping that we might be successful with that grant money versus using the county's BR funding. Northwest of Shellsburg, replacing the bridge there that's just west of Schmeeke implement. The bridge inspectors have always had some concern. Hasn't really changed, but the box culvert that's under the Shellsburg concrete there at 26th, just west of 26th. I think it's another one of those box culverts where the center is older than the outsides. Then bridge north of Blairstown and a bridge southeast of Blairstown. The bridge southeast of Blairstown, if I recall right, is actually the beam and slab design that the county has put in. But back in the late 70s, when the county first started putting those beam and slab designs together, they were putting them on top of the existing abutments, wood abutments, and now the wood abutments on those cases are starting to show some age. In about late 70s, early 80s, Benton County bought some concrete forms from a contractor going out of business and built all their abutments out of concrete then. moving forward from that date forward. But there was about 3 years that the county bridge crew was building their beam and slab design and putting them on wood abutments, exposed to the elements. And then looking at pavements that are getting some age and probably will be needing to address some type of pavement resurfacing or pavement rehabilitation would be the concrete north of Watkins and then the concrete south and east out of Norway. That is a proposed 5-year plan for Benton County. I do see that I highlighted in yellow, we've talked about a number of times here. On fiscal year '24 is the dirt road just out here south of town, trying to, secure some type of funding that would, two thoughts, or a couple thoughts are going on with that project. I'm trying to find out if we could secure some grant money that would pay for it. I think there's also the concern on your part that this not be a sole county project. It should be financially involved by others also. And right now it's been requested from the ag side, but the county has done all of the legwork to date. You say that's recently been surveyed. I'm meeting with that consultant later this week just to tell him a couple of the concept ideas, road type of design that they could start putting some cost together. They had agreed to look at, I think, 3 different scenarios if we wanted to give that to them. So that survey work has been gathered at this point, I think, and they're ready to try to start putting some minor design to it so we could have some cost estimates on type of work.
So that's the bill that we okayed today?
Probably from Shive Hattery
Yes.
for a portion of that. It was around 10,000 of the 14.
Yeah,
Yep,
6,500, excuse me.
okay. I
Okay.
know
I thought that was it, but I wasn't sure.
Yes.
Okay.
There's more to come on that engineering, isn't there?
Yes.
From Shive Hattery?
Yeah,
Yeah, more information that they're gonna put together and either present to you or give it to me that I can present to you. But that was just to pay for the legwork that they have done. The biggest share of that project cost was gathering the survey information, and they took advantage of the nice weather here in March and late April, and were out there on a couple different occasions gathering that information.
okay.
But if that looks like a suitable construction program, I would take a motion to approve that.
Okay, so moved. We got
And I would second that.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. You got it, Myra.
And then I can do this pretty quickly. If you found all your stuff, Rick, from yesterday, you should have a budget packet there that's just 3 pages long, but one of it's a cover
Yeah.
page, so it's,
Yep, I do.
okay.
Is it your birthday too, Rick, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Happy birthday.
That's why you
Well,
guys
thank you. I want to
Yeah.
keep them coming, just get that age where you start worrying how many you got left.
That's no joke.
I can go over the budget sheets pretty quickly. We went over this. This mirrors very closely to the secondary road budget that was discussed back in January. First page is the receipt page. I will just highlight a couple things. The first line on the far right column working down would be the estimated county's beginning balance on July 1st. The $3.37 million is the property tax transfers. I had submitted to you $270,000 out of general basic, $3.1 million out of rural services. Those two together added is what that 3.37 number represents. Local option sales tax, that was submitted, regular road use tax money. The $31,779 is the amount of money the county gets for the 4 small towns that have under 500 population. We turn around and return all of that we received to Garrison. Norway has asked for the same thing. Mount Auburn has never asked for anything, and Luzerne, we make 2 payments to them throughout the year, totaling $1,300, which is really paying for the electricity for all the streetlights that they have through town that are on farm to market extension system. Time 21 money, the bridge replacement money was working as a swap for a while. We're going back to full federal aid, so on the DOT's budget, they're actually separating the bridge replacement money as we get reimbursed as to whether it was on a federal aid project, which is what the FA stands for, or the swap money. And so moving forward, our replacement money is going to be more on coming from federal aid, full federal aid projects instead of the swap. And then the rest of the numbers going down there are some miscellaneous receipts for the most part that come back to the county. License and permits, I don't know if that number may potentially go up here in the future. I think in January we were talking about the all systems permit, the new permit that the DOT has out that addresses 5, 6, and 7 axle trucks. I was a little hesitant on that permit, not knowing how it was going to affect Benton County road systems. Looking into it some more, I have opted into that permit with some restrictions. I did all the pavements initially. I've made 2 revisions to the map, including some rock roads, looking at bridges of concern. Talking with farmers that have large grain bin setups that would like to utilize the permit allowance and being able to haul stored grain from their storage units to the pavements, and then utilizing the pavements with the system. I anticipate adding more rock roads to that system as I continue to evaluate things. But that $500 all systems permit, $375 of that comes back to counties, and it's being divvied up based on how many counties are participating in the system, and it's done on a monthly basis. Last week, in January, I think there were 40 counties that were signed up for the all systems permit. In February, that number increased to 54, and I haven't heard what the main March numbers were as to how many more have added to that. But March 1st, I had sent my stuff into the DOT, indicated that Benton County would go ahead and participate in it, and here are the roads that they're allowed to use. And so that sheet, at least the right column, I think is the only thing that really is of major interest today, that shows you the proposed receipts coming in for fiscal year '24. And then the third sheet would actually be the expenditures. The DOT grouped some of those lines that I went through in January over the budget, but they look at 4 major areas in the secondary road budget. The first area that they look at is collectively adding your administration and engineering together. And those numbers pretty much mirror exactly what the secondary road budget is, because there are not any reimbursements coming back into those type of operations. About the only thing that Healy sees much more than I do, but when you charge for copies in an office, and that printing costs that you collect would offset a number, but your printing costs are pretty minimal in administration and engineering. The construction is the second area that they look at. $2.39 million is what I have in the DOT budget. I believe that's the exact same number I had in the secondary roads budget. The third area that the DOT groups together is maintenance, roadway maintenance that include bridges and culverts. That's primarily maintenance on bridges and culverts, but what is also included in the culvert end of things is, as we run across our roadway, metal pipe that's poor condition that needs to be replaced, we're replacing it, and it's being paid for through that coating on the DOT end. The roads portion is the biggest end would be the placing the gravel on the county roads and blading them throughout the year. Snow and ice control. Let me back up. The roads part on that column, it's a little bit less than what you would see on the secondary roads budget because the DOT looks at net difference. We get reimbursed with entrance permits that we install for the county. There's about $27,000 annually that's collected in entrance permits for new driveways that are put in. And then this MC70 program that we just talked about earlier this morning, residents pay for that. So there's about $275,000 that's reimbursed into the county budget from rural residents. That decreases that number compared to the local county budget. The snow and ice, that one's just a slight bit lower also because a number of the towns purchased the sand and salt from us, so there's about $12,000 that the county gets reimbursed for some communities for using our sand and salt. Traffic controls would be the signs, signals, at least four-way flashing lights, and intersection lights that we have scattered around the county and maintenance that goes with them. And then the fifth sub area under that category would be road clearing, the roadside mowing. We still do some brush cutting ourselves, but pretty much all of the roadside spraying now is being done by the weed commissioner's department. And then the fourth sub area that the DOT looks at is general roadway. The new equipment should mirror what the secondary roads budget was in January. Equipment operations, repairing that equipment and all the fuel that runs in it. Tools, materials, and supplies. That would be actually purchasing the pipe for all of the driveways that we put in. Those property owners are reimbursing us for the cost of that pipe, so there's about $90,000 a year that we collect from them, so that number is going to be a little bit lower than the secondary roads budget. And then the real estate and buildings has to do with the main shop and all the outlying motor grader sheds that we maintain and talked about repairing or replacing back in January. And so the DOT budget mirrors very heavily what we talked about more in length in January, but it does have to be approved separately by the DOT annually by the 15th of April. And so if those numbers, knowing that they're very close to what was talked about back in January, and I realize that budget doesn't have to be certified until the end of April this year. That did not change the language on the DOT budget and program that has to be approved by the board by the 15th of April. But I would take a motion for the secondary roads DOT budget if it meets with your approval.
So moved.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I would second that.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Get those, you and sign that cover sheet.
Did I lose you guys?
Nope, we're here.
Oh, you just quiet. Okay.
I asked for a signature is what was going on, Rick.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't make much noise, does it?
No. The only other thing I threw on the agenda, and it looks to me like it's almost more of a work in the right-of-way permit from my office standpoint, but Alliant Energy had submitted a utility bill that whether it's submitted or Friday, I just had a barely chance to look at it yesterday morning, but they are replacing a lot of worn-out poles. It looks like they're still staying overhead in Jackson and Cedar Township. The bridge project north of Benton, they went from overhead to underground, but pretty much from Mount Auburn straight south to 218. Obviously, 218 would not be our jurisdiction, but they're doing a lot of replacement there on 218. And then from 218 south to Garrison on the pavement, it looks, everything I can see is, I believe, an existing overhead line where they're replacing poles where they need to. I don't see any issues with their permit. Like I said, it's almost a work in the right-of-way permit, but knowing what utilities are planning to do, maintenance or major construction, it's nice to hear from them in one form or the other, since they took the time to fill out the utility permit. If you want to make a motion to accept their permit, that would be great.
So moved.
And I would second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all I have, I think, for you this morning. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate yours.
And next week, I'm gonna do kind of what Rick's doing today, maybe, I don't know. My birthday is next week, and so I might be celebrating my birthday. I'm attending the NACE conference next week in Orange Beach from Sunday through Wednesday, and I'm gonna stay down there a couple extra days since my wife's gonna join me on my travels and spend the other few days in
That's
Gulf
in
Shores
Missouri,
while I'm
right?
there. Huh?
Missouri, or where?
Alabama.
Alabama.
How long to golf?
Yeah, nice. Hope the weather's good for you.
I hope so too. If not, it'll still be some relaxation for a few days after the conference, just to unwind from the last couple weeks.
Sure. Looks like they say, even a bad day away from work is a good day.
You wanna-
The ARPA funds, jumping back to that a little bit, the two-way radios for secondary roads
Yep.
and the weed department, those radios, doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Are you, first 200,000 you were gonna pay out of ARPA funds, is that how it was? And then the balance above that cost would just be a secondary roads expense?
Yep.
Okay.
So you thought it was gonna be 240 total, maybe?
I think it's a little less than that, but it'll be close to, and I think the quote asked for 50% payment up front, I think, with the order, and then 50% after the radios are delivered. I don't know if that payment approach is acceptable. I know that's how Raycom has liked to do things over the years. And maybe it's something that they would do. We're doing the installation ourselves, at least secondary roads, so that may have been part of that. That I know in the past, a lot of times, once the radios were on premise, we paid for them and then paid for the installation second. But in this case, we've done, secondary roads has installed those over the years, and don't anticipate any problems with them. It's just gonna take a while for 75 units to be installed. It's not gonna all happen overnight.
So you got the invoice already on them?
No,
No?
no. I just know that the quote had mentioned, I think 50% up at order placement and then 50% after. And I can discuss that a little bit more. I know that you're,
I believe I got a Zoom meeting with them Thursday.
Okay.
It was a pretty busy day on Thursday, but
I know their sales rep is still sticking with this project throughout, but she has retired
Yes.
from Raycon, so.
Yes. And she's been good about it. She's been,
She still responds
Attending,
to
yeah.
emails.
so I can. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one I got on my list here for discussing projects, was that.
Okay.
Do you wanna go over some of those other ones too?
We can real quick.
So we had, the treasurer requested a new countertop possibly, or in her office. Larry Andreessen would like a new sink in his office. And then he talked about GIS servers with Ben, but Ben kinda thinks he's got that figured out ahead of time.
Yeah.
The cement work, Scott brought up over by the sheriff's office, the width of that brown building. There
Mhm.
needs some work done over there, whether we use ARPA funds or, and then Lexa and I, our scanning project, we've already paid the deposit on that, they're gonna be coming first part of July, I think. And then they'll get started on it, so they'll be downstairs working on that. And then one other thing was, Dean Cement, but we have money in that capital projects too, so. Am I missing something? Ray wanted collections. something
Yeah, but
too.
it was only $1,000
Yeah,
for that
so it was
door.
like, so, I don't know, but I think, the individuals would just like, kinda, I know the committee, ARPA committee blessed them and agreed to those projects, but we
Mhm.
wanted board action before they went further.
The biggest one was the one we just okayed
Yep,
today
for
with the
Shelby.
bathroom for, up to Urbana,
Yep.
Wildcat. That was the biggest one.
And next week, I'll probably have on the agenda, cause I have an ARPA report due by the end of this month.
Okay?
So I'll go through and update. We just gotta basically tell them what we've
Spent it.
committed, what we've spent. Since we declared it all revenue loss, we're naming it basically one project, not just
Right.
individuals, so.
Okay, the service area amendment, you wanna wait till next week?
No, I want those done today,
Okay?
but I'll adjust my resolution. I just didn't have time last night when I get all those.
That's fine.
So Rick, you weren't here when we were discussing this earlier, or did you hear us? When I was
On the
describing?
Southern Bend
Yep,
area amendment,
yep,
yeah, I heard it,
okay.
yeah.
So
I'm
that,
not,
those.
don't have anything in writing, obviously.
No, so what I wanna do for sure, the one was, the hub. I had all the withholdings coming out of general sup, which needs to go into Fund 6 for the mental health fund. So I'll move those spending authority. So what I mean with the service area is, so service area 1 would all be like the sheriff's office, medical examiner. Within the budget, we can't go over as a whole, even though we keep track of individual departments. So when I try to borrow from, I usually I either speak to that department or I just do use non-departmental, so like Department 99. So for example, medical examiner, I'm gonna give a little cushion because I think I only have 10,000 left in the spending and I already know of a couple more this week. And then, for example, when Lynn County submits us a handful, which we don't even realize until after the fact. So I wanna cushion that one. Our ECOG dues was 17,000, so I gotta move money around for that. What did I do with that other note? The Department 61, which is court stuff, I gotta move some spending around in that. And then, oh, here it is, sorry. Those are the two big ones, and then the workman's comp, those claims, some of those were bigger than we're used to, so. So yeah, after today's claim run, obviously, that's when I went back in once those were posted and make sure. So I will send out that resolution to you guys in the minutes and tweak all those line items for you, so you know. but it's 29.
Okay.
29,657 for that hub that I'm moving from Fund 2 to 06. And then the Department 61, I'm gonna take that 8,620 that I was long or short in the one, but I'm gonna take it out of a lost. I had a cushion in that same service area for vehicles. And then the medical examiner, I'm gonna take out of Department 99. I think I had sand and aggregates, I had a cushion. So I'm gonna move that into medical examiner. Cause I have to look at the same functions, you know, like 1110, 1220. I think you guys understand a little bit on that, don't you? Okay, so. And that needs to be done by resolution. And it'll be number 2323.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we amend those service areas. Does that work?
Yep.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, call for a vote.
It's individual.
Kramer, aye.
Beershank, aye.
Seaman, aye.
Okay, so those are good. So did we want to make any more motions on the other ARPA recommendations? Or get approval, like, for those that want to pursue getting their countertop bids and stuff? Like Melinda, or what are your thoughts?
I guess we can. Do you wanna name them all, or just give them?
Well, they're just looking for bids, aren't they? They're not
Well,
going out and buying
right,
it.
they were just coming to our committee with their wish list when we
Yeah.
met on the 27th, so.
I don't see that we have to give them permission to go get bids, do we?
No,
Okay, but as long as you guys are all informed that they know that it's,
yeah,
they can go ahead and do that,
Yeah.
basically.
And they're not talking large dollar numbers anyway.
no,
Nope, Shelby's was the biggest dollar one,
Yep.
and Myron's radius.
Yeah, I get that, yeah,
So.
yeah.
Okay. We just wanted to provide that update after our meeting, so.
Sure, yeah.
And then yeah, because the wiring project, all the equipment was purchased, the work's just not done.
right,
So some of that, those bills will come through as that other work gets done,
mm-hmm,
so.
Yeah.
And then what, was there a part of the boiler yet to pay?
yeah, he's gotta put that,
Some valve or something, or
uh,
a mini split?
water softener,
Or something, yeah, okay.
water softener,
So those were the big things I think we touched on.
yep. Yep, because the air conditioner up there for the collections, that's coming out his budget, if I remember right.
Yes,
Maintenance, that's coming out
correct, he
his
had it,
budget.
but he already had that in there.
Yep. Okay, reports.
Most of my stuff's at the end of the month. I'm gonna start this week.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, won't have anything.
Nothing? I had conservation last
Yeah.
night, so. They talked about a lot, you know, the ground that they're purchasing, Hand and Leg Shop. We talked they talked quite a bit about the trees there at Atkins, the Atkins Roundhouse. So I guess that's about it.
Has the hand and shop started?
No, they're gonna
No.
start, actually, they were gonna go down and set the 4 stakes where the building's gotta go today. And then I believe it's next week, they're actually gonna break ground, what I would call drilling holes.
So they're putting up a pole building?
Mhm.
You have a meeting Thursday, don't you? It's in here. Your health board.
Yeah, Gary, I think you've seen plans on that building, haven't you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Okay, is that it?
I think so.
Move we adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor to adjourn, how about you, Rick?
Yeah, let's do her.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Fine.
Well, enjoy your birthday.
Yeah.